Okay, so the title of my position paper was A Workshop on Eating Disorders Could Save a Gymnast's Life. So just some introduction, 42% of athletes in aesthetic sports have eating disorders, and gymnastics is considered an aesthetic sport, and the prevalence is really high. And eating disorders can be very, very damaging physically and also mentally and emotionally. So there's different types of gymnastics, and we're just going to touch on 3 right here, artistic gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics, and acrobatic gymnastics, and we're just going to go into a little bit of what each is. So artistic gymnastics is where the athlete performs short routines on different apparatuses. There's vault, bars, beam, and floor, and the routines range from about 30 seconds on vault to a minute and a half on floor. This is what I do. Rhythmic gymnastics is a type of gymnastics that focuses on dance-like rhythmic routines. There's rope, hoop, ball, clubs, ribbon, and freehand, and it combines ballet, dance, and apparatus manipulation. Acrobatic gymnastics is usually partners of gymnasts that work together to perform different poses, and it includes the acrobatic moves, some dance and tumbling, and the routine is done to music. So my thesis was a formal workshop needs to be in place to inform all criteria of gymnasts, coaches, and parents about eating disorders in the sport. And the 3 topics that I talked about was prevalence, signs and symptoms, and preventative measures. So the prevalence of eating disorders, it's most prevalent in rhythmic gymnastics, just from coaches, parents, and fans to remain thin. And the gymnast wants to seem thin but powerful enough to leap through the air, so they have the idea of if I lose 5 pounds, it'll be easier. So signs and symptoms of eating disorders: vomiting, menstrual irregularities, fatigue, low immunity, stress fractures, iron deficiencies, female athlete triad. These are just a few to name. Factors that encourage eating disorders: there's critical comments from coaches, weighing procedures at practice, low self-esteem, obsession with body weight, a strong drive to succeed and please others, and perfectionism is a sign. So some preventative measures we can take is changing ego-oriented, which is when they only think they're good if they win a competition, to task-oriented, which is feeling accomplished no matter what. Focusing on diet routines and eating habits, and constant education given to the gymnast and coaches about eating disorders. Coaches can also work on becoming better counselors and learning appropriate behavior to have with the gymnast. And you can implement motivational environments, which is having the gymnast work on self-improvement and progress. So what I learned, I didn't know that it was most prevalent in rhythmic gymnastics, and I also thought that it was really interesting that perfectionism was a trait that a lot of people with eating disorders had, and the ego versus task orientation, that was kind of a new idea to me. So application to knowledge in life, I want to coach gymnastics. So this is really important for me working with gymnasts in the future. I know what signs and symptoms to look for, and I can also inform gymnasts on what I learned about eating disorders and healthy living. So just a summary, there's 3 types of gymnastics. We talked about the frequency of eating disorders, which is in rhythmic gymnastics, some things to look out for, the signs and symptoms, and the preventative measures to take. And these are my references. All right, thanks.